What happens when one of the most important materials in modern manufacturing suddenly becomes harder to find? For decades, aluminum flowed seamlessly across North America, helping automakers build lighter vehicles, manufacturers stay competitive, and supply chains remain stable. But today, that system is facing unprecedented pressure as trade disputes, geopolitical tensions, and shifting global alliances reshape the market. Your roadmap to the latest in auto, welcome to Highway Herald. In this video, we're examining how North America's aluminum supply chain is being transformed, why Canadian exports are increasingly finding new destinations, and what these developments could mean for automakers, truck buyers, manufacturers, and consumers across the United States. Number 5. How global turmoil escalated a trade dispute into a supply crisis. Tariffs may have created the initial challenge, but global instability made the situation far more serious. As Canadian aluminum became less available to U.S. buyers, manufacturers increasingly turned to Middle Eastern suppliers such as the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. That solution worked temporarily until geopolitical disruptions affected key shipping routes and industrial operations, reducing reliability and exposing the fragility of global supply chains. The impact was immediate. Aluminum prices rose sharply, supply tightened, and manufacturers faced higher costs. This is particularly important for automakers because aluminum is now widely used in pickups, SUVs, EVs, and performance vehicles to reduce weight and improve efficiency, range, towing, and handling. Higher aluminum costs can eventually translate into higher vehicle prices. The challenge extends beyond automotive manufacturing, affecting aerospace, defense, construction, appliances, and packaging industries. With new smelters requiring massive investments and years to build, experts warn supply shortages could persist, making supply security as important as price. But rising prices are only part of the story. To understand why manufacturers are becoming increasingly concerned, we need to examine the deeper structural weakness that has been developing inside America's aluminum supply chain. Number 4. The unexpected aluminum shortage reshaping manufacturing. Aluminum is one of the most important materials in modern manufacturing, used in everything from pickup trucks and aircraft to power systems, packaging, and defense equipment. Despite its importance, the United States relies heavily on imports because it operates only a limited number of primary aluminum smelters. For decades, Canada served as a reliable supplier, leveraging Quebec's abundant hydroelectric power to produce aluminum efficiently and competitively. This strong partnership helped support North American manufacturing and automotive production. However, tariffs changed the dynamics of that relationship. As Canadian shipments declined and alternative suppliers became more important, weaknesses in the U.S. supply chain began to emerge. Analysts now warn of tight inventories and limited replacement capacity. For automakers, the timing is especially concerning because aluminum is critical for improving fuel economy, EV range, performance, and efficiency, making supply disruptions a growing industry challenge. But if American manufacturers are receiving less Canadian aluminum, where is that metal going instead? The answer reveals one of the biggest shifts currently unfolding in global trade. Number 3. How Canada's aluminum trade took a new direction. The most significant impact of the aluminum dispute may not be the tariffs themselves, but the redirection of Canadian exports. For decades, the United States was the primary destination for Canadian aluminum, benefiting from integrated supply chains, low transportation costs, and reliable access to materials. However, as tariffs changed the economics of cross-border trade, Canadian producers began expanding into new markets. Europe quickly emerged as a major buyer, with countries such as the Netherlands, Italy, and Poland increasing imports. What started as a temporary adjustment has evolved into a long-term diversification strategy. Because industrial supply contracts are often negotiated years in advance, these new relationships may be difficult to reverse. For automakers, this matters because aluminum is essential for modern pickups, SUVs, EVs, and performance vehicles. As more Canadian aluminum moves overseas, U.S. manufacturers could face greater competition and tighter supplies. Yet Canada's shift toward Europe didn't happen in isolation. It is part of a much broader effort by European governments to rethink where they source critical resources and industrial materials. Number 2. Why Europe is looking beyond traditional suppliers. While North America faces aluminum supply challenges, Europe is pursuing a broader strategy centered on supply security and diversification. Since the Ukraine conflict began, European governments have worked to reduce dependence on any single supplier, expanding this approach beyond energy to include industrial metals, critical minerals, hydrogen, uranium, and other strategic resources. Canada has emerged as an attractive partner due to its abundant natural resources, political stability, strong institutions, and reputation as a reliable trading partner. As a result, cooperation between Canada and Europe has expanded across energy, critical minerals, defense industries, and advanced manufacturing. For Europe, diversification helps reduce risk and strengthen resilience. For Canada, it creates new economic opportunities. However, for the United States, it raises concerns about future competitiveness. As allies build alternative supply networks, American manufacturers could face increased competition for materials that once flowed easily through North American supply chains. Before we reveal the number one reason, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue bringing you in-depth analysis on the automotive industry, global manufacturing trends, and the developments shaping the vehicles we drive. So after supply disruptions, shrinking inventories, Canada's export diversification, and Europe's strategic realignment, one critical question remains: who ultimately feels the impact the most? Number 1. Why automakers may feel the greatest impact. For vehicle enthusiasts, the aluminum story is ultimately about the future of the automotive industry. Modern vehicles depend on highly complex global supply chains involving metals, semiconductors, batteries, electronics, and specialized components. When a critical material like aluminum becomes more expensive or harder to secure, the impact spreads throughout the industry. Aluminum is especially important because its lightweight properties improve fuel economy, EV range, towing capability, and overall performance. Rising aluminum costs could force automakers to rethink factory investments, production plans, vehicle pricing, and future product development. Electric vehicles are particularly vulnerable because reducing weight is crucial for maximizing range. Meanwhile, manufacturers in regions with lower material costs may gain a competitive advantage. The larger concern is growing supply chain fragmentation, which could lead to higher vehicle prices, delayed product launches, production uncertainty, and reduced flexibility for consumers and manufacturers alike. And that brings us to the bigger picture behind all of these developments. Verdict: the price of losing a reliable supply partner. The aluminum story highlights the growing importance of supply chain resilience in today's global economy. For decades, American manufacturers benefited from reliable aluminum imports from Canada, supporting automotive, aerospace, and industrial production. However, tariffs, geopolitical tensions, and diversification efforts are now reshaping those long-established trade relationships. Canada is expanding ties with Europe, while European nations are broadening their sources of critical materials. As a result, U.S. manufacturers face increasing uncertainty over future costs and supply availability. The key question is whether these changes are temporary or the beginning of a long-term shift in global trade. For vehicle enthusiasts, the outcome could influence future vehicle development, manufacturing investments, and consumer prices. Now we'd love to hear from you. Do you think the United States can rebuild its aluminum supply advantage? Will Canada's growing trade relationship with Europe become permanent? And how much do you think rising material costs could affect future vehicle prices? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We always enjoy hearing perspectives from fellow enthusiasts. If you enjoyed this analysis, be sure to subscribe to Highway Herald and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest vehicle updates, automotive industry developments, and upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one right here on Highway Herald. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's more exciting and informative content waiting for you.